morning, Loveys. How are we? It is Sunday, February 23rd, 2025. And I'm your host, Nurse Kim, JK. But I wanted to come on today and have a little bit of a Sunday service, if you will, with all of you, my best friends from out of town. Because this has been a week in Commonwealth V Karen Read that will go down in history. All because of the man right behind me. Special Prosecutor Hank Brennan, his pencils, Adam Lally as second chair, and potentially some nefarious behavior by one Ms. McLaughlin. Ooh. Okay, good morning, Steph. How are we? And good morning, Deborah. Oh, Kelly, if Chloe bit, you must have quit, formerly known as Gigabyte Me Bev, says I've been clenching all week. Babe, I might have the 1980s Denise Richards, or wait, no, what was her name? I don't know. She was some broad and she used to do Buns of Steel. My mom had the tapes. I might be, I'm clenching all the ways. All of the clenching has been clenched. Hanky spanky, says Billy Watson. And I love that. I love that about you, Billy. And I wanted to tell you one thing. On Tuesday, February 25th, 2025, it is my firm belief that Hank is going to get spanked. Spanked by the defense. Okay. And Alan Jackson. AJ is going to, when he swings, he doesn't miss. We know this. Okay. And I believe that Hank Brennan, intentionally or unintentionally, I don't know. I do believe he lacks his summer reading comprehension list. He did not read To Kill a Mockingbird. He did not watch Commonwealth v. Karen Read, Trial 1. He didn't get in his Snuggie like we requested. And he misrepresented evidence and facts to the court on Tuesday that sent our Bev, Judge Beverly Cannoni, into a physical condition. Okay. She went a little buck wild from the bench, if you will. Shaking, rattling, rolling. He's smashing binders, tippity tapping the binders on a podium. And she is shaking with her readers. Things you never expect to see on national television that is not a scripted drama. Okay? Oh. A verbal slap. Proverbial, if you will, Lindy. Absolutely. Amy's Positive Pathways says it was a visceral response to the information presented by a special prosecutor. Now, why I called this stream jurisprudence and why I called it Sunday service is because we all need to come back to basics and kind of block out the noise, in my opinion, because the trolls have been trolling. Ooh, they're on a roll, those trolls. And they're coming for me. They're coming for everyone. Poor Nan. Nan, one of our attorney friends. She's getting the brunt of it right now. And may the devil be denounced today. Okay, let's put our hands of protection on Nan. She can handle it. We've got Larry Legend in the back. And, we have some incredible dragon slayers, but the facts of this are astounding. And what has been the most shocking to me, babes, is seeing the reaction from actual local news analysts and legal experts who I consider educated, very intelligent and qualified human beings. Okay. You may not like them. We may not dig their deciphering, but the stance that they have taken against Alan Jackson and David Yannetti, with the careers and the basically never have they had any actions against their ethics, or has there been any complaints regarding these attorneys? And yet, after hearing one side that is easily debunked via what? Rolling the tapes. If we just rolled back the tapes from June 10th, 2024 and June 18th, 2024, you would have seen that it was a material misrepresentation from a special prosecutor. Clutch our pearls. But Judge Bev didn't do that. She retired to her chamber for 30 minutes of God knows what, collection, potentially some yoga. I don't know if she was meditating, but I do know what she wasn't doing, babes. She was not reviewing any documents from Hank Brennan. Huh. Okay, so Hank left immediately after, but she didn't review anything, and that's as evidenced by her filing right afterwards, demanding that the transcript that he was referring to in his argument be handed over to the court and the defense by Friday end of day. Okay. So she didn't have any of the transcripts. And we know at the end of the hearing, she requested Hank to hand over the material that allegedly came from the feds, but then was corrected. And we knew it came from the defense in reciprocal discovery. So she went back to her chambers, had 30 minutes of whatever collection time needed, came back out still razzled and frazzled. She was Fraggle rocking. Okay. And she comes out, suspends the rest of the hearing, and says, bitches, be ready, to the defense. Giddy up. I'm coming. She was Paul Revere'ing. The redcoats are coming, right? She was trotting through Lexington. I don't know. That was a random history fact. But that was what she did. And based solely upon an oral argument of one side makes me sick. You did not give the defense an opportunity to respond, which I believe they would have immediately been like, okay, let me explain this to you. But the media, especially local media, ran with it. I'm talking Olympics. I'm talking they were in first place, and they were doing anything that they could to crucify the name of who? Karen Read, Alan Jackson, and David Yannetti. And I just want to say, may the Lord be with you, to the people who chose that, because you have fucked around and you will find out. In his name we pray. Oh, awful, Melissa. Hey, hi, Jen Altman's in the chat. That's fun. And love a Romy with cheese. Hello, Lovey. And Debbie Blair says it was horrible. She didn't let the defense respond. And then for her to make the horrific comments that could have effects on the defense and the defense team. How inappropriate. Debbie Blair, you are so smart and pretty. And I will tell you this. There is a reason that judges need to be impartial. And we know that by nature, the prosecution has a hand up. Anytime they're in front of a court, the prosecution has power that exceeds the side of the defense. It is always going to be skewed in the favor of the prosecution, and for her to, without one scintilla, she's a lawyer. No, she's not. Just kidding. She's just a legal nurse consultant and an unpaid, non-consensual intern of David Yannetti's. But this is all adding up, and these are all kind of compounding issues that show what I believe to be bias and what I believe to be misrepresentations to the court by Hank Brennan. Now, Massachusetts used to have a rule back in the olden days that said it was only prosecutorial misconduct if it was an intentional misrepresentation to the court. Well, in 2022, that rule changed. Bang, bang. A bang, bang. And it says now, whether it's unintentional or intentional, if you misrepresent facts and evidence to the court, you need to get spanked. And I say, bring it on. Okay? And yes, Toy says 11 a.m., Robin. Tuesday, we will be there, 11 a.m., with our pearls on and ready to rock and roll. Sandy Nana says, I cannot wait until Tuesday. I don't think I'm going to be able to sleep. Sandy, I have never felt more connected to you than I do right now, babe. I am kind of shocked because after I provided like a timeline from my brain where we knew exactly what happened and we said to ourselves, okay, this is all very explainable and this is looking really bad for the Commonwealth, actually. People keep doubling down and tripling down on social media, which is like, yep, that's the thing to do. I get it. And I am looking forward to wiping the smug immediately off their face. It's going to happen. And when I tell you it is going to be fireworks, I know it is. And ask me how I know. I can't tell you. But I might have had a dream that it's going to be this moment that solidifies Karen Read's. I'm feeling better about dismissal every day, babes. I'm feeling better about Karen not actually going to retrial because a remedy to what occurred in the courtroom last week would include, but not be limited to, getting rid of, removing Hank Brennan, but also dismissal of charges because it was so prejudiced toward Karen. So this morning, I ended up doing, what did I do? Ask me what I did. You say, oh, what'd you do? I went to the hospital to go visit my father. All right. Say a prayer for the Mick if you can. He's going to be going to short-term rehab for reconditioning, but he's in a little bit of rough shape and he's a good doobie. He's got a strong mind, so we're going to get his body nice and strong. So love you, Dad. And then I also donated $25 to the Karen Read Defense Fund for the following reasons. I want to read it to you, babes, because I thought I was like, oh, she's got jokes today, but also she's sassy. So I said prosecutorial misconduct, withholding exculpatory evidence from the defense. Sally Port. Okay. That's all we have to say. One word association, Sally Port. Misrepresenting information to the judge. One word association, Hank Brennan. 3, making extrajudicial comments that increase public condemnation of the accused. Shh, don't tell them. So I'm trying to do a drive for 5, babe. Okay. And I said, Loveys, let's donate $25 to the defense fund to see Hank get spanked on Tuesday. Hashtag 25 for the 25th. And I love it. Gets the people going. I am amped up so much so. Like I feel electricity in the air. Okay. You can feel it coming. So can I. This is Jumanji, bitch. Do you hear the drums? Hoo-hoo. And Jamie Z says Alan Jackson's going to rip Hanky and Bev. It is going to be great. Now, I also watched good old TB last night. And what did TB say to us? He said, they can't be on the defense. They need to be they have to be on the offense on Tuesday. Now, I know that AJ and Yannetti and Alessi and everyone and Liza Little will be on the offense, in my opinion, just because this was a direct shot, not only at Karen, but at their professional ethics, conduct, etc. This also took a shot at ARCA, a federal DOJ, Department of Defense. Well, their their contract ended on the 6th of 2025 of this month, but they have DOD contracts and they've been instrumental in our military and NHL contracts. And you're saying that this agency has $23,000, a bill for $23,000, never a check and payment for that money, but providing an invoice that was provided by the defense team somehow equates to this governmental agency contractor who would risk their entire careers to write a couple of notes that they talked about during their testimony and voir dire. Get the fuck out of town. Immediately depart the town. Because you are a leper, if you believe that. Okay? Oh, and then Loveromi with Cheese said that the online harassment of ARCA needs to be called out. Like the specific people, yes, I do believe that you should not be like, what are you doing if you're going after, Dr. Wolf or Dr. Rentschler and ARCA? I believe they had to shut down their Twitter page because of the 18 trolls and their 52 sock accounts. That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing for the trolls. And it's going to be more embarrassing on Tuesday. So I want everyone to just get fire in your bellies, okay? Just tune in and really focus. Because I know that I'm not a betting woman. Well, I lied. I love Keno and I do like to bet. But this is not like just a guess. This is, in my opinion, a certainty that Tuesday will be a defining moment in Commonwealth V Karen Read and may result in the final blow to the house of cards that is the Commonwealth's case. And Parker's Planet said, Crash Daddies, don't worry, you're better than that. We know. Exactly, Parker's Planet. We know that you're not doing weird shit. And we also know that the defense team knows exactly who they're dealing with in this Commonwealth, in this special prosecutor, and in this judge. So I do not believe a misstep occurred. I am highly confident that this will be explained and that, unfortunately, Judge Beverly Cannoni is going to have to attempt to remedy this, which I do not believe she would be able to in a fair manner that would you can't unring the bell, right? So what was done last Tuesday was so egregious and so prejudicial to Karen that I believe the only way to move forward is to dismiss the charges. Just saying. Are all of those troll accounts going to deactivate when they are so wrong and Karen walks and owns the Commonwealth? Lisa Tobin, from your lips to God's ears on this Sunday service, we pray. Please deactivate your account. Please get off the World Wide Web. If you must attack everything and attack like women and families and like just anyone with a different opinion than you, maybe it's time for you to step away. Step away from the keyboard because you look cringy. And then, oh, we got Bev should be taken off the case and the charges to be dropped. Could happen. That would be the most severe of all, that would be the most severe. But remember, at the end of the day, everyone that is so negative and pessimistic, turn it around. Turn it around and say, well, Bev would never. Bev would never. Bev has never done what the fuck she did on Tuesday. Oh. Bev has never stepped out of line. Yes, she may be huffy and puffy. Yes, she may admonish like David Yannetti for using hyperbole and allowing Hank Brennan to wildly misinterpret information and take it as biblical. But she has never acted in the manner in which she did last Tuesday. This might be her wake-up call to review those tapes, maybe in camera. Take a look at your own behavior, confront that, and remind yourself that you represent the Commonwealth and that she has bosses that have to watch and monitor her performance. And that was quite the performance. Unless she comes back and says, I literally had a full, like, she doesn't have to tell us anything. If it was a medical thing and she actually had like a full-blown panic attack or was hypoglycemic, then Judge Cannoni, I apologize. And I hope that you got that figured out and that you put a couple Skittles in your pocket, babe. But if that was your reaction to hearing Hank and his fucking pencils, whew, we've got problems. Oh, hi, Leah. Auntie Bev had red cheeks on her bottom all weekend from getting from getting spanked by her superiors. Oh, rosy cheeks, if you will. And someone make a sigh video of her constant sighing, said Kelgirl. I agree. I absolutely agree. So, okay, babes, I wanted to add to the stage my dumb Twitter. And I wanted to go through a couple of videos and a couple of posts that I had posted and examples of other wild shit that has occurred in the Commonwealth that potentially had prosecutors reprimanded for misconduct, and another one that alleges that there was an improper relationship between a judge and a prosecutor. Okay. And that this resulted, it was allegedly came from anonymous tips from some lady who was like an ex-jilted lover. It reads like a soap opera, but in some twist of fate, this accusation resulted in the judge stepping down at 56 years old because of health issues. And now the SJC ruled that additional discovery is to be found and allowed by the defense to connect the prosecutor and the judge. Because I swear to goodness gracious that it is palpable, the relationship and the bias that is seen in Norfolk Superior Court by Judge Beverly Cannoni, that I always tried to say, no, she's doing her job. No, she's just, she's just frustrated and she doesn't like theatrics. Well, that all went out the window on Tuesday. It's rules for the defense. She appears to have a very firm opinion on Karen Read and on the defense team. And it really shouldn't be like that. You have to keep your judicial conduct and your ability to impartially view an entirety of a case, an entirety of an argument without sticking your foot in your mouth. You know what I'm saying? That's the most important. Okay, so and I think actually that Hank Brennan did a beautiful job. Look at this. Stop it. Why would I repost this? This is so fresh, but it also feels so right. You know what I mean? Look at Whitey just holding a little itty bitty baby Hank. Hey Hank. Hey Hank, love you. Okay. Don't get a spanking, Hankin. And then we go here, which is pretty magical. This video.
And guys, listen, I mean, I am a prosecutor at heart. And guys, listen, I mean, I am a prosecutor at heart.
Okay, so this was from Law and Crime, guys, and this is Hank Brennan talking about a case that had gone to retrial 3 different times. It was a terrible crime against a child, so like, ugh. But the comments that were made and the prosecution in this case did not have evidence, did not have a shot in hell to prosecute this a 3rd time, and they still chose to. And I feel like Hank Brennan was being a real defense attorney. And his comments really strike home. And I believe that, I mean, this shows the compassion of Hank Brennan. And it shows what a defendant really deserves at every single trial. So let's see. Let me make this. How do I make you this one the bigger? Okay.
Assistant prosecutor for many years trying murder cases, the head prosecutor. And I would tell my staff all the time when I was the boss, as we were trained, Mike, when we were young assistant prosecutors, don't ever let us hear that you withheld exculpatory information or Brady material, as they call that. I used to just open up my file to the defense before I tried a case. I take all my personal notes out and I say, make sure you have all the data and information in there, because I don't want the conviction to have to come back. And, you know, with all due respect, prosecutors are supposed to seek justice, not just seek convictions. And to me, not only would have I dismissed this case as a judge, I think these prosecutors should be called on the carpet ethically for what they did here. Just my opinion. But listen, there's a friend of the family, Nathaniel Roden, that's on the stand, guys. Sorry to go off on my rant. I believe deeply in prosecutors doing the right thing. And if you don't, there's got to be consequences. But here we are. Maybe 3rd time will be a charm for this defendant. Let's go to Nathaniel Roden and hear what he has to say. Okay, so this is the Liggins case. That's Nathaniel Roden, witness for the prosecution. I'm here with Mike Korbanix and Hank Brennan. I was having a little difficulty hearing, but at the very end, Hank, what do you think the prosecutor was trying to elicit from him? Why is he an important witness for them?
I think the difficulty with the prosecutors is they don't have an eyewitness to say somebody saw this accused commit the crime. So they're trying to put together and cobble together as many witnesses.
Oh. Hank thinks that the reason or the problem for this prosecutor is that they don't have an eyewitness placing the defendant, the accused, at the crime. So they are cobbling together witnesses to what, Hank?
As they can to get the accused close to the crime, whether it was before the crime, after the crime. And so
whether to get them close to the crime before or after. What does that remind you of, guys?
The proximity is what they're trying to establish. And it's something they need to do because they have that absence of a natural eyewitness or scientific evidence like DNA.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Hank, because the...
All right, add me. Where am I? Okay, so Hank Brennan just said that there was lack in the other case specifically, that they did not have the evidence, including scientific evidence or DNA, that connected the accused to said crime. Babes, do you recall any DNA of Karen Read's being found? And I know that it was her allegedly her murder vehicle, her murder weapon. But there was no blood found on Karen's vehicle, and that on the undercarriage, on the quarter panel where that one hair held on for dear life in a blizzard, driving 30 miles on the back of a flatbed. Okay. And, there are the people who are deniers of Karen or her theory or anything of that nature always turn to there was no canine DNA on Officer John O'Keefe's sleeve, right? But again, we know because we have brains and we have paid attention that there was never any swabs taken of the actual wound of Officer John O'Keefe's arm that was tested. Nothing was ever tested for canine DNA on the arm. And we also know that there were multiple contributors to the blood that was found on Officer John O'Keefe's hoodie. But the DNA was so degraded that they were unable to run a profile. So if it was so degraded on Officer John O'Keefe's hoodie that they couldn't identify they could not identify a availability to track the DNA from a human, then why do you have questions that there was not able to be found, that canine DNA was unable to be found on the sleeve? Like, there's two sides to every argument, but nobody thinks that through. So if you don't know who the contributor is, that's not concerning to anybody who is pro-Commonwealth. But yet the lack of testing of Officer John O'Keefe's arm, his abrasions and injuries to his right forearm and upper extremity and brachial region all the way down to his forearm, nobody gives a shit about. That's a little suspicious. Oh, and D says, you mean the evidence they collected in How Do We Even Know They're Clean solo cups? 100% D. You got it, babe. Oh, Jen Altman. Oh, and there were what? Barriers to the canine DNA, like blood? Science. Crazy. It's wild. No love trends. Okay, 5:13 a.m. voicemail. She is guilty. 5:13 a.m. voicemail. Babe, it's clear to me. Okay, be here. Have your opinion. You can absolutely just don't attack anybody. Talk your shit. I hear you. But what you're not going to do is be able to say by a voicemail that Karen asks, and she is pissed, clearly, thinking that John is philandering, thinking that he's playing hide the salam while she's back home with the kids. Pissed. That does not make a homicidal girlfriend. So I don't know why you would think, based on a voicemail that show her pissed off, all voicemails that show her pissed off, that proves any kind of guilt. But tell me. Lover-Romy with cheese is dropping them, okay? Hitting everybody with 10 Nurse Kim non-consensual memberships. No one asked for, but you got them, okay? I love you. Hope you like it. If you hate it, I hear you. And here's a rebut, right? Clicking Balls says 227 Google would potentially allude that one Jennifer McCabe could be guilty. So when you don't know 100%, or you haven't made up your mind, as a jury should not, if you have voicemails from a pissed girlfriend and an alleged and a Google search from a party goer who wasn't there, that this was not developed by what? The defense. This came from a Celebrite report. This wasn't a misrepresentation to the court like fucking Hank Brennan and his pencils did last Tuesday. This was real. You know? Oh, coffee cake. Go you, babe. Yippee, I won that membership lottery. Leveroni with cheese. You're the best. And Billy Watson says that's not a motive for murder. Oh, Kerry Ann, awesome question. So I tried to do some research on this, and I don't see any complaints to the, what is the board? Hold, please. There is an ethics board in the Commonwealth, and I can't see any, but I also don't see any complaints on Attorney David Yannetti, which this would be huge, right? I don't see any complaints on Alan Jackson. He has a stellar record. Like these are huge allegations that were made and that were given credibility without any proof, documentation, review of transcripts, of emails, nothing. Based solely upon an oral argument of a motherfucker who has not done his summer reading. Babe, all you had to do was pull up those 2 days. But you got up in front of the court and you decided to provide undated materials to the court. Clutch your pearls. That should have been an asshole clench for the entire United States. When he said there's no date here, again, still misrepresenting that this came from a TUI dump from the feds, when it actually had come from the defense. But in what world would an attorney get up and not have every bit of information that was readily publicly available? When he said, I just have a flavor for the case. What is the flavor? What is the flavor, sir? You're giving nutmeg, okay? Maybe that's too kind. I don't know what your flavor is. I don't like it. It's off-putting to me. And the AKR people refuse to look at it objectively like a jury would be required to. I'm very passionate about this case, but science is science and feelings are feelings. Allie Brewer, thank you so much. Thank you for being here. I love your little picture, your avatar, if you will. I don't even know. Are we having little comets in the sky? It's everything. But I totally agree. Like, I can have all of my feelings about the case, but at the end of the day, I am typically 99% of the time pro-police, pro-prosecution. This has been a very eye-opening experience to me because I was unable to equate the injuries that were sustained by Officer John O'Keefe, the damage to Karen, or lack thereof, to Karen Read's vehicle, the ability that I know that how many PSI, pounds of pressure, are needed to break an elbow would be what would have been needed to shatter polycarbonate taillight. And yet he sustained no bruising, no dislocation, no breaking of bones that would have been palpated on the patient. And we know that Irene Scorti-Bello, our medical examiner in the case, never reported that he had fractures, breaks that were palpated. Okay? So, with that being said, and to know the catastrophic brain damage that Officer John O'Keefe sustained, and to crack his skull with 2.5-inch laceration to the right occiput in a very horizontal straight line. Huh. Yeah, that's blunt force trauma by an object, not a ground, in my medical professional experience. I could not wrap my head around how that occurred. And then I asked questions, and then I saw holes, and then I saw, holy shit. Why weren't people even interviewed? Wait a minute. They collected evidence in solo cups? Wait a minute. They didn't find the taillight, any piece of taillight, until after Karen Read's vehicle was in possession of the Mass State Police and already back at the Canton Sally Port? Wait a sec. And then to top it all off, babes, we had Karen connecting to One Meadow Wi-Fi at 12:36 a.m. Thank you, Troopa Garino, for that little gem. It just doesn't make sense that you're accusing a girlfriend who has no prior acts of violence or rage to just get so bullshit on one night in Canton after a couple of wobbly pops at frickin' CF McCarthy's in the Waterfall. Bullshit. She loved John. She loved the kids. She was pissed off. And was concerned about a little tickle and dickle and going on. What one of us hasn't been there? And Carrie Ann says it's the powerful family in town getting away with whatever that brought a lot of people into this case. Every town has a McAlbert family. Whew. And Lori Hamilton says, Kim, can you remind me about the injuries to John's head, front and back, please? Yes, I can. Sure can, babe. So Officer John O'Keefe has the 2.5-inch laceration to the right occiput of his skull, okay? Which is, I mean, I'm talking significant impact. Then he has radial skull fractures, basal fractures, okay? He also has hemorrhaging in his brain, subarachnoid hemorrhages to the frontal poles, to his bilateral temporal poles. He has so much trauma that his brain, and trigger warning, guys, I'm so sorry, that his brain has nowhere to go and begins to push down from the swelling and herniates his brainstem. This would have shut down Officer John O'Keefe's autonomic nervous system and eventually prevent him from breathing. Everything would shut down. It is my personal medical opinion that Officer John O'Keefe would have never recovered after the blow to his skull. He would have never had a quality of life. He would have never been off of machines. It wasn't a time that could have been, I know that Hank Brennan said about burr holes. Well, if someone had drilled burr holes, I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Because he clearly doesn't know. And I'd like to see what their neuropathologist is going to say. Because I know that Dr. Renee Stonebridge, our green queen, AKA the sleeved machine, she comes in hot and gives you all of the information of the catastrophic injuries. Then you see that it's predominantly he has and they did actually say it was laceration above his brow, and he had a nick on the right side of his nose. So boom, right there. He ended up having 2 swollen black eyes, but Kerry Roberts testified that the left side was worse than the right when she had arrived at the scene. And then subsequently, when she goes to Good Samaritan Hospital and she views Officer O'Keefe after pronouncement, she is heartbroken to see that he looks even worse at this time. Now, I have questions on that as well. And I've never actually said this out loud. So, hey, let's let's have an exclusive random Nurse Kim thought. If Officer John O'Keefe was out in the cold, in the snow, on the lawn of 34 Fairview after being struck by Karen Read's Lexus vehicle in reverse at 24.2 miles an hour, and he was out there in 18 to 22 degrees in only a hoodie, an orange t-shirt, his jeans, and they found his baseball cap, but no protective gear, right? No gloves, no scarf, no winter puffer coat. And the fact that his injuries continued to worsen in the frontal, like his eye swelling continued to get worse per Kerry Roberts, then I know, babes, there's no way he was out there for 6 hours. Any medical professional would tell you that. Because that had to have occurred at a different time. I don't know when, I don't know how, and I don't know by fucking who. Because I'm not Chip Proctor, Michael Proctor, who was supposed to investigate this case, but he chose not to look down any other direction that didn't confirm his bias that Karen Read was guilty from the moment they received the case. It is also known, and it had been definitely testified to by Nuttall and Flamati, the 2 most important, in my opinion, EMTs. And they stated that he was a viable candidate. He was viable, guys. Had he been out for 6 hours in 18 to 22 degrees with no protective outerwear, there is not a possibility that Officer John O'Keefe would have had no signs of validity. It's impossible. He would not have had, it was impossible for him to be as pliable as he was. There are certain simple facts and simple science that cannot be explained in this case. The fact that he didn't have severe frostbite. Wild. Unexplainable. And they just want us to say, oh, yeah, well, I know that some things don't make sense, but just shut the fuck up. Well, I can't on medical evidence. I can't. Because it's not right. And the fact that the Commonwealth has gone so hard, hella high water in this conviction, in seeking this conviction, makes me think that there are ulterior motives that do not stop at Karen Read, and that if left unchecked, will continue to devastate the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, in my opinion. Jahahay says, wait a minute. Jay Hey Hey says, thank you so much, Lovey. Says, Kim, can you explain the right occiput, what the right occiput means and what would cause that for those of us who are not medically inclined? Love your pretty face. Yes, babe. I'm sorry. The occiput is just the region of your skull. Okay. It's our occipital skull. And it is basically like the middle, like right before you go right before you are going into your base, your skull base, right? It's your occipital region and it's the middle part, but his was to the right. Okay. So it was about halfway down the middle back of his skull, his cranium. And it was a 2.5-inch laceration. But if you saw pictures, which I don't recommend if you are not medically inclined, I mean, you're seeing dura, you're seeing brain. Hello. This was such impact and such blunt force trauma that you can't tell me with a straight face that the fucking ground did it. Unless, I have always said, there was a boulder or a sharp rock, or I don't even know, like some projectile that caused that. But it doesn't make sense with the amount of pressure that would have been needed, and that Officer John O'Keefe was struck by a vehicle allegedly in his arm, right? He didn't take a direct hit. He wasn't hit in the head by the vehicle. He wasn't hit in the center of his mass. So the amount of pressure needed for him to fly into the yard, land at his place of rest, and create that specific injury is not correct. No matter how the Commonwealth spins it, it cannot be explained. And this is why, babes, it matters that Irene Scorti Bello stood her ground. And she said, bitch, I'm not writing that this is a homicide. Especially not by what Mass State Police has tried to tell me in 2 different fucking meetings of why I need to write it as such. They presented her with every piece of information that they had collected from the scene. And she said, and no, undetermined. Now, had an investigation actually occurred and something had made sense to her of, A plus B equals C. Again, I don't know what happened. I don't know who did it, but I know that Karen Read didn't and that her vehicle did not. But had the investigation from Mass State Police made sense, medically, scientifically, the ME would have documented this as a homicide. But what was presented in evidence did not come to that finding from the OCME. And I think that that's imperative. It's huge. This is also the first case in 12 years that Trooper Michael Proctor has ever sought charges, right? And well, not sought charges, but has been involved in, that a DA sought charges on, that was a murder, a murder 2 case, a murder of any case, 1 or 2. He had never testified in a trial that a murder occurred, that there wasn't a designation of homicide on a death certificate. That needs to be hammered home to the jury, in my opinion. That's not normal. Oop. It's blood on the front of his shirt and vomit for me. Yes. And how about in his boxes? How about that? So he was in an upright position and not in a supine position on his back. Dear gosh, wild. And Lois Lane says, toy, 100%. I love that. And Maddie Wags, hi, Maddie Wags, says, could Karen hire another med examiner like Sandra Birchmore's family did to say without a doubt it wasn't from a car? Well, Maddie Wags, you are incredible. As always, thank you so much for being here with me, Lovey. But we know that in science and all medical testimony, right? They're going to say what we believe, right? That this is my opinion. They've opined to this, but they're never going to say 100% because we practice medicine. It's not perfect. And yes, they'll do they could say I could absolutely think that this is more likely than not. But I don't think any qualified or incredible ME would say this I rule out 100% could not have occurred by a vehicle. It is not consistent with anything I've ever seen in 30 years, says somebody. But, I just don't know if they would do that. I don't think I've ever seen that. Yep, and Carrie Ann says, what did Carrie Ann say? The current ME is just fine. She's actually great for the defense. I agree, Carrie Ann. Hi, Standing Zone 1776. Oh, Billy Watson, you said, where the F are John's socks? Okay, that's interesting because I think that the Commonwealth provided evidence that they have the socks. I don't think there's anything missing, babe. I don't think we had heard anything about it. And then all of a sudden, like a motion came out and said that whatever, they had the socks in custody. If I'm remembering correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong, babes. Oh, well, this would be on par for the Commonwealth and their ability to keep logs of any sort of evidence. And Billy Watson, I have them, says B-dubs. And then Kate says, what would be good questions for Karen's team to ask the ME? Babe, I've got them. I've got 3 pages. Call on me, Mr. Yannetti, and let me just email them to you. And I would be happy to provide those questions. And I think that Dr. Renee Stonebridge will be crossed. If this goes to trial 2.0, I believe she will be crossed this time, because all of her testimony is in great favor to the defense. Okay, so now, babes, I just wanted to go. Now, what am I doing? Where is she? And why does she not know how to work?
Said, and guys, listen,
World Wide
I'm
Web.
a prosecutor at heart, assistant prosecutor for
Small. Oh, here we go. Make it small. And then I wanted to bring back another couple of videos.
There are 3 witnesses to the murders: Martirano, Weeks, Fleming. What I submit to you is the critical issue in this case: whether you can believe Martirano, Weeks, and Fleming beyond a reasonable doubt.
This trial is not about whether or not the FBI in Boston was a mess. It's not a referendum on whether or not Kevin Weeks and John Martirano should be spending the rest of their lives in jail. It's about whether or not the defendant is guilty of the crimes charged in the indictment. He's the one on trial here, not the government, not the FBI, James Bulger.
With them, our government is us. At what point as citizens do we say, you know what? There has to be accountability. You tell them that.
There are 3 witnesses to the murders.
I love that, Hank. I love that. I love that in your 3-hour closing for convicted murderer, rat, and mobster, Whitey Bulger, you said, at what point do we as citizens demand accountability? You tell them by your conviction, you're not guilty for Whitey Bulger, that would demand the accountability. And we demand accountability in Commonwealth v. Karen Read. Okay, now let me do. What else? I was on a rampage with this one. I knew that I had a couple more little Hank gems, I thought. Oh. Okay, just a reminder, babes. Remember when I said that Judge Cannoni did not have any materials to review in camera in her chambers when she took the 30-minute recess last Tuesday? This is the evidence that I had that provided that, right? Because at the end of the hearing, she had asked Hank Brennan, she goes, Hank, please provide me with the documents you received by not the federal government. Couldn't stomach to say the defense team, right? But then there was a notice to appear for a continued hearing on February 25th at 11 a.m. The court will reconvene the hearing that begun on February 18th, 2025. Do I need my glasses? Hold, please. She's elderly. Prepared to address the issues related to the defendant's recent pursuant to Rule 14, especially as the materials produced related to prior representations made to the court on the record by defense counsel concerning the ARCA witnesses. In addition, because of the Commonwealth's reference to a transcript of hearing on June 10th, 2024, and the hearing on February 18th, 2025. At the hearing on February 18th, 2025, the Commonwealth is to provide a copy of that transcript to the defense and the court by close of business day on February 1st, 2025. Okay, so I'm dumb because I thought she asked for 610 and 618 transcripts, but she only asked for 610. Now, babes, go back here. Look at this little ditty, because this was wild. This was where Judge Cannoni asked ARCA to go over all the shits. And this was the response from Alan Jackson saying, like, fuck that noise. I don't want to have to give them my entire direct examination. Why do I have to show you all of my hand right now? And she said, because I said so. Okay. Because I want to know everything. And therefore, ergo, that remedied any prejudice against the Commonwealth, in my opinion, and per legal definitions and standards. There was nothing that couldn't have been asked on 618 in that courtroom. And Judge Cannoni asked a shit ton, and so did Adam Lally. So when they talk about, there was so much in that June 22nd email from the defense, they're full of shit.
With regard to Dr. Wolf and Dr. Richler,
she's having desktop emotions. How do I make this big? Okay, now what do I do?
with regard to Dr. Wolf and Dr.
Okay, hold on, babes. I'm just going to make it bigger. And then we'll watch this little ditty and talk shit. All right, ready? I'm getting rid of me. Get big. There you go.
Dr. Richler. This is a different scenario, and I'm presuming that the court is asking for a one-year on their qualifications.
Well, I want to know who did what. They say we. I want to know who did what.
Is Is the court suggesting that I go through their entire testimony of exactly what they did, their testing, their opinions, conclusions, the bases of their opinions and conclusions?
However you want to do it, Mr. Jackson, we're here today on the Commonwealth's motion.
I realize that. But it's not the Commonwealth's motion to depose our experts. The Commonwealth's motion is they're not qualified as accident reconstructionists. I don't need to go, and I'm not inclined to give them a free bite of the apple to cross-examine these witnesses twice on the basis of their opinion. I will go through, I think, to the court's satisfaction. I don't think it's going to take long to figure out that they're extraordinarily qualified to render opinions, but I don't think it's incumbent upon me to walk through their entire testimony and give the Commonwealth a free bite of the apple like it's a deposition.
Whatever you want to do. I'm not telling you what to do. Whatever you want to do.
Well, ain't that something? I'm not telling you what to do, but Alan Jackson clearly makes it known that his witnesses that he's calling and engaging in the first trial was ARCA. They were available to what? Who? The Commonwealth and to the defense. The defense chose to use them. The Commonwealth said, please, God, no. Please, God, no. Judge Cannoni asked all the questions. She said, who asked you to do this? And what was the question asked of you? And they said, well, the federal government asked me if the injuries sustained to Officer John O'Keefe occurred from a vehicle. And we have come to the conclusion as PhDs in reconstruction after building fucking cannons, ma'am. Hank's got a cluster of pencils and they've got actual cannons. Okay? This is what we're doing. It is literally T-ball practice versus the 2004 Red Sox. I'm sorry. So anywho, he's like, okay, she asks him, okay, tell me more, who did what? She asks everything. Everything was laid out on the table at that voir dire. And that voir dire remedied any sort of up in arms bullshit and questions or concern that Hank and his pencils may have today. Adam Lally went home on Tuesday and looked exactly like this. Okay? He needed to put on his cone of shame. He's been living in that cone of shame since Tuesday evening. Ms. McLaughlin should go to church. She should become one with Jesus over this, because if you gave that information to Hank Brennan, which he alluded to and has never used another name of anyone in the entire time that we've known him get up there, and he always it's always the Hank dance. Tap dancing with Hank. Woo! Right? But he specifically mentions Miss McLaughlin. Did you throw her under the bus, or was this, what was this, Hank? And Olivia, hi, Olivia Nile, you beautiful queen, says, you can't tell me this is not a judge collaborating with the state. Oh, now, since you brought us there, thank you for keeping my brain on track, because she's a nightmare and has ADHD. Let's go through Commonwealth V. I don't know what. Oh, let's share this tab instead. Okay, now, focus. Did I share the correct tab? Okay, maybe that's showing. Okay, I'm gonna make this big. All right, babes, listen to this one. A judge is allowing, oh, wait, let me say where this is from. Okay, January 18th, 2024. Criminal Justice South Coast Bureau. Appeal alleging misconduct by New Bedford judge can move forward. Oh, stop it. Okay. The case centers on unproven rumors that a judge had an undisclosed romantic relationship with a prosecutor. Shut up. It is a clear hurdle on Wednesday as specially appointed judge granted one of the parties power to subpoena new evidence. Bitch. So a judge is allowing a man convicted in New Bedford's district court last spring to review the details of misconduct investigation into the prosecutor and judge who served on his trial. The order is part of a legal case that was reopened this fall after an anonymous letter began circulating in New Bedford that the accused Judge Douglas Donborough of carrying on a secret romantic relationship with the criminal prosecutor while continuing to oversee her cases. Donborough stopped appearing in court shortly after the letters surfaced in September. He then resigned in November at the ripe old age of 56, indicating through an attorney that he was stepping down because of health problems. Shortly after Donborough's resignation, an attorney filed a motion for a new trial on behalf of Gerson Pascual Santana, a 51-year-old jailed for an indecent assault of a child, writing that his client had the right to an fair, impartial, and disinterested judge. Let me tell you one thing. You know what Bev doesn't seem? Fucking disinterested. Not one involved in an undisclosed romantic or maternal mother-child relationship with the prosecutor. The motion thrust unproven rumors that few lawyers had been willing to openly discuss into the center of a legal case playing out in open hearings in the city's busiest courthouse. Scandal. Then it says Judge David Frank will allow McKenna to review an internal investigation by the Bristol County's District Attorney's Office, which continues to employ the prosecutor who served on Pascual Santana's trial and is seeking to uphold the conviction she won. Ballsy bitch. And Frank, who typically sits at the Cambridge District Court, I like Cambridge Court, began his order with a summary of the case law governing post-conviction discovery and the process McKenna is using to obtain access to potentially exculpatory evidence. In the previous decision of Commonwealth v. Ware, the highest court found that the defendants must make a sufficient showing that the discovery is reasonably likely to uncover evidence that might warrant granting a new trial. Frank weighted the standard against the guideline established in the Commonwealth v. Duguay that says judges can deny discovery if the defense provides nothing more than speculation. And they said that the defendant's claims rest almost exclusively on unsigned and unsworn written statements from an author or authors whose name and address and identity are unknown to the judge and presumably also to the individuals who received it. But the judge denied McKenna's request to subpoena confidential records from the Massachusetts Trial Court and the Commission of Judicial Conduct, which investigate claims of prosecutorial and judicial misconduct. But Frank is allowing the defense a narrow range of discovery powers. He ordered the Bristol County DA's office to produce records clarifying whether the office, quote, learned of any evidence of an inappropriate personal relationship between the prosecutor and the trial judge. Should the Commonwealth have breached its duty to conduct a thorough investigation by failing to obtain the relevant phone records, then Mr. Pascual Santana would seek those records independently. Frank ordered the DA's office to provide a summary of its investigation by January 29th. And McKenna has until February 12th to review the documentation and file any additional motions. Now, you say, Kim, why the fuck is that important? That was based on a random ass rumor and an unidentified anonymous letter literally sent to the court. And a judge still gave narrow scope for the defense to continue to find something. Are you shitting me? And Judge Cannoni has denied repeatedly requests from the defense to have specific witness, their cell phone records and things of that nature that they were able to establish far more than speculation. It's wild, guys. This shit is wild, in my opinion. Larry Legend, are you fucking kidding me? Exactly. AYFKM NK. And that is why this is just another reason, babes, for us to potentially think about, if you are feeling froggy. I have posted at the top of, I've pinned at the top of this stream, I believe. Jesus, did I actually pin this? Oh Lord. I think I pinned the Karen Read Defense Fund and asking for anyone to donate who is interested, $25 for the 25th. And for us to sit back, get our popcorn, and watch Hank get spanked. Spanked. Right? This is one of those oops upside the head. I said oops upside the head, right? We're going to get him. We're going to get him good. He doesn't know what's coming. And Judge Cannoni is going to have to say, oops, I did it again. I played with your heart, right? Like Judge Cannoni, no one said to get that worked up, babe. You got to at least appear to be impartial, as is your judicial prudence, as is your right to be a fair, impartial, and disinterested judge. Babe, you're anything but disinterested. She's like me, right? She gets all worked up. What are you channeling me? You getting a little nervous? You getting an eye twitch, Bev? Getting an eye twitch because you got information from your homeboy, Mr. Brennan, and you took the rumor. And you allowed that to go on national news. You stopped the hearing and you made a spectacle of your court. How are you going to fix that one, Bevy? And then nope, that is it. And remember, guys, I just wanted to say that prosecutorial misconduct, we're 3 for 3 in Commonwealth v Karen Read. 1, withholding exculpatory evidence from the defense, Sally Port. 2, misrepresenting information to a judge, fucking Tuesday. Ooh, it happened. 3, making extrajudicial comments that increase public condemnation of the accused. Don't tell them. Let's watch Hank get spanked. And let's feel a little joy in that. Let's feel a little joy when the trolls have to roll away in their little angry sheds that they live in, and they live under bridges, and they are just so grumpy. And they will see the light on Tuesday. And we're free in Karen Reads. Oh, and 13 Kings says it very, very bluntly. Hank sucks. Love your kitty cat. Oh, Callie, so much joy. And listen, I'm trying to be a good sport, right? I'm always trying to be like, be a good sport. I believe that if there will be sanctions, there was a ruse on the court, and it was at the hands of Hank Brennan and potentially Ms. McLaughlin. This is going to be a defining moment. I have said it before. I'll say it again. The winds of change are in motion. It is written in the stars. Karen was unfortunately chosen to continue to fight for justice and to make catalyst. She's the catalyst for change in the Commonwealth. We are all awake. We will not go back to sleep. And we will continue to fight for Karen, and we will continue to fight for Officer John O'Keefe until the war is over. Get your armor on, babes. We're ready. Yeah. Oh, Christina, yes, you woke a sleeping giant. Sure did. Sure did, babes. 100%. And Kelly Garcia. Oop. Sandy, I know, right? There we go. We love you, Debbie Blair, too. We ain't got no quit. We got Karen Reads to free. Absolutely. Okay, Loveys, final thing that I just wanted to tell you. We're good. Everybody collect ourselves. We are the smartest and the prettiest, okay? And we say to ourselves, this is going to be epic. There will be fireworks. Prepare for total domination on Tuesday, 11 a.m. Woohoo! Mark it on your calendars. We're ready to fucking jam. Okay, it's a showdown. It is Super Slam. It is, I don't know what else is another huge event. It's like a monster truck derby, but we know the outcome. And I am very looking forward to not gloating, but to giving the confidence back to where it needs to be. Continue to boost up Karen. Continue to bring her our faith and our support, because we know at the end of the day what is true. Truth and justice has always been our goal. This was never about anything else. Not a narrative, not to spin anything, not to, help a woman get away with a crime. Fuck no. We're not allowing the government to get away with the crime. So we will be there. We will be there. We will be square. Or you'll be square. And then the only other thing that I wanted to say as a reminder, click on that link if I pinned it, to Karen's Defense Fund. If you're feeling froggy, I'd love you to leap. And if we all get band together, let's get her to 700,000 and we can shove that directly up the trolls' asses too. Just like these number 2 pencils. Take 8 pencils of Hank Brennan's and shove it up the ass of the trolls. Right up the poop chute. And we've got that on Tuesday. Then we have habeas corpus coming up on the 5th. And we have another trial date, motion to dismiss, I believe, on the 4th. So we're busy friggin' beavers. We got shit going on. Sunday, March 2nd. There is still 10 tickets left. If you would like to join Nurse Kim in Framingham for a Pearls and Girls 5 to 7 event. That is in my description. It's me, 45 of my best friends from out of town. We're going to yap. We're going to eat some apps, have a couple glasses of champs if you're feeling froggy, and we will have the best time together. And other than that, that is it. Kelly, if you bit, you must have quit. Yes, Lovey, I saw that you will be there. I'm so excited. And Mary Malaki, my mother in spirit, says, great stream, Nurse Kim. I always leave feeling inspired and smarter. You are an inspiration. I can't wait for you to be a grandmother ×2. Congratulations to your second favorite son and your first favorite online daughter sends all my love, and I hope I see you soon. All right, Hank's pencils. Have a good day. All right, guys. Love you so much. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.